Thank you, Mr. President. Mostly routine items this month. However, there are two action items. One is to consider a motion authorizing the Township Solicitor to advertise a hearing of the Board of Commissioners on the zoning map amendment petition that was submitted on behalf of 510, 512, 514, and 516 Bethel Avenue for a change in zoning for those particular properties. We are required, as they have petitioned the board for this change, to hold a public hearing and advertise the same.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. George, that is the gangway out of property.
Motion.
Sorry.
The motion is carried.
Next item is a motion to consider authorizing the Township Solicitor to take all necessary steps with Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to prohibit the usage of jake brakes in various locations within the Upper Chichester Township. As I indicated, I would just need those mile markers and roadways. I know some folks have submitted already to the Township Manager. He will get that on, and we'll work together to get that submitted to PennDOT. They will be doing a study. This is the first part of it to determine the appropriateness of that, but these will be the first steps to take in order to get that done.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
All other matters were routine in nature, requiring no action.
Is there any questions for our solicitor? If not, we'll move on to our manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. The first item I have is to consider a resolution authorizing the township treasurer to change the bank account in which earned income tax proceeds are deposited. As you know, we've done some modifications to our banking to become more secure, and we need to switch this to a bank account that only accepts deposits and is restricted to income tax.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
That is resolution 2020-18. Next item, I'd ask for a motion to appoint Joseph Neary to the 2020 Upper Chichester Township Census Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All,
We'll do roll call.
Be careful what you ask.
all in favor?
Aye.
And yes, I'm voting yes for Mr. Neary. So make that clear.
The next item, consider motion appointing Anita Brown of Buck Lane to the 2020 Upper Chichester Township Census Committee.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Did you reach out to her? Did you reach out to her? Okay.
How many more do we need?
I need at least one. I'm good with one. If I have one more person, I can do it.
Carl, yes.
Oh, you do it?
I think we had been at a meeting and talk about it.
Somebody else.
The next item I have is very unfortunate. One of the Ford Explorers that has been handed down by the police department requires a decent amount of work. After consulting with the Public Works Department and the Township's mechanic, he advised that it would make more sense to auction off the vehicle. So I've asked the board to consider a motion authorizing the Township Manager to sell the license and inspection Ford Explorer in accordance with the First Class Township Code.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
We've had some meetings with PennDOT in reference to the 322 project. We've had some public meetings on the sound walls. And I'd ask the board to consider a motion authorizing the Township Manager to write a letter to various state senators and representatives seeking support towards the extension of the Oliver Lane sound wall and the creation of a sound wall at Summers Lane along the West 322.
So moved.
Second.
Question. Is Laura Lane in here?
Florida Lane is not, because PennDOT is already working on that.
Okay.
We'll have another action item, which will be us accepting the maintenance agreement. However, that at this point is not completed.
Sounds good. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
The next item I have, I'd ask the board to consider a motion authorizing the Township Manager to prepare and advertise a request for proposals for the Township towing services.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried.
I do have two other items, but I'd like to bring that up under new business.
That will be called
Did the letter for the library go out?
So we're going to go on where we're not doing it. We'll be meeting with them tomorrow. When the draft is completed, ready to go. We're going to just review it one more time and then get that out.
I'll sign it tomorrow.
Thank you.
No other questions for our Township Manager? We'll give the vote to our Vice Chairman, Joe Bacco.
Thank you. Highway and sanitation, I think by now everybody should have got their recycling pamphlets. Hopefully everybody's taking the advice and we can keep ourselves from being fined anymore. Street light and traffic signals, I think we're all caught up on them unless anybody has any to report. Sewer and water, me and George have been discussing a few things with the sewer authority. They just had their audit done and we were looking it over. We just, I don't know if we want to proceed in depth any deeper. We just, with all the stuff going on, we would like to see like what's it worth? What's the assets to us? I mean, I don't know if we need to do a study or just going to discuss that.
So my understanding of reading through all the literature involved with that, what we would do is essentially send out requests for qualifications for wastewater providers and essentially solicit bids to determine the value. I mean, the board would not have to act on that. However, you could get a good sense of what the value would be, what would that mean to transition to a private company, how would that work?
Well, the other option is to hire a consultant to make that determination.
Do that as well.
That might be less volatile.
Is that,
That's the activities.
What's it?
That's the activities.
And they do have, the PUC has a list of consultants who work on valuations of stormwater assets.
I think, and again, just in my opinion, if you go out for an RFP, that's going to create a lot of rumors. Which may or may not be the most desirable thing, but I don't know that, but if we
I mean,
can
what
get
is
somebody.
it an asset to us? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the
Consultant would be-
consultant.
Mhm.
Will we just price that out, with an RFP for a consultant, or they have a general idea what they would do?
So what we can do is we can reach out to those, like PUC has a list of
Yes.
10 that they use for
Right.
evaluations. We can reach out and get costs.
Get an idea. And that'll be based on the size of the system that that steps.
Do we need to advise the sewer party to do it? I mean, it would be common courtesy.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it makes sense to send them a letter.
Okay.
So how do we move forward then? Do I need to make a motion? I make a motion
Yeah, so for the, I would say ask the board to consider a motion for the township manager to request, request proposals for evaluation of the sanitary sewer system in Upper Texas.
so moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carried.
And the only other thing I have is the Somerset Springbrook development. It's been kind of quiet in the last week or two, so let's leave it that way.
Any questions for Commissioner Joe Bacco? If not, we'll move on to Commissioner Nicole Whitaker, and I would ask one request. If we can read all the motions at once and then do a yes for, because I don't think anybody's going to be denying it.
Well, I have a different recommendation.
Oh, okay.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you. The Historical Society met on February 17th, and they had a guest speaker come in to discuss grant opportunities as related to historical societies. The township has not received a report from that February meeting as of yet. The library has canceled its Lights Out concert, which is one of the larger fundraisers that the library has annually due to the coronavirus. They have canceled that event. We are going to advise individuals that have already purchased tickets that we will be looking to reschedule that event. We're not going to be giving refunds at this point unless it just appears to be an indefinite situation, but we are going to go to the schedule later this year. The Heart and Soul Committee met on Saturday, February the 29th at the IDW Austin Room. There were over 90 residents that were actively engaged in the Heart and Soul process by working in small groups to draft value statements for each identified 7 themes. The themes are location and accessibility, sense of community, education, safety, economic opportunities, community resources, recreation, and open space. The Orton and the Pennsylvania Health Commission leadership were overwhelmed and very pleased with the result and the turnout of the summit. So we have our recreational, our recreation report. So for the month of February, the recreation department, the field house was rented 4 times. Fees collected $1,800. The community service building was rented 10 times for a revenue of $3,000. Total amount collected for the month of February was $6,175. There are several events that are happening at both locations. We'll speak to, or I should say our manager will speak to the scheduled events that are happening at both here and the community center over the next month under new business. So we received several requests, and we typically have this every year for our softball team, our baseball teams here in the township. So we have 6 requests for fee waivers. The fee for field use is $400 per team. The teams are asking the Board of Commissioners to waive those fees. I am asking the Board of Commissioners to consider charging the teams, each team $100 as opposed to $400 and as opposed to having a 0 fee. This money would be reinvested in the CBL fields, and all the participants of these teams, their parents pay a membership fee. So if it was a situation where the teams were paying at no cost, then I could see a total 0 fee. But so I'm asking the board to consider a fee waiver of $300 per team, which would leave the $100 per team. And that's items 1 through 6 for the SJ Warriors, Delco Spartans, Chichester Chargers, Delco Dragons, Delco Wolfpack, and DC Outlaws.
Question?
So the motion, the second.
A second.
Yeah, question. All these teams technically are out of CBL. How many, are we still checking rosters?
Yeah, so the rosters are
Predominantly are, okay. I'm fine with it if that's the standard.
Yeah, the rosters were submitted.
Okay.
I mean, this is the first time we're seeing this, so the first thing is the Warriors, I think it looks like there are 4 people from Josh.
And how many not from John?
We have Newcastle, the trainer, Garnet Valley, right, 2 Linwood, Westchester.
So last year, the guidance was at 75% within the school district.
Right.
So are we still sticking to that? Or
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
75, right.
Yes, so the 437.
So because CBL is also opened up to the
Right.
school districts.
Correct. Open up
So
there.
would you say there's 6 kids? Josh?
1, 2, 3,
3, 4.
5, 6, 7.
That's ours? Oh, is it the, okay.
Sure. I just want to For clarity, you say you want to donate the money back to the CBL? Well, we'll be using this money to put back in the CBL field.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion and a second, all in favor?
My vote's going to depend on the rosters.
Well, the first
Well, yeah.
I prefer not doing this like.
Right
My
now.
vote is yes, as long as they meet the roster requirement. How's that?
You have to amend the motion.
And want to amend the
All right,
motion?
Second.
So the amendment is the board will agree that the rosters meet the percentage criteria.
Yes.
The motion is actually reducing from $400 to $100, with the $100 being put back into upgrades and/or maintenance of the CBL fields, provided the teams requesting the waivers meet the standards for those waivers that has been placed in the township.
Correct. Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion is carried.
Thank you. Also asking the board to consider a motion approving a fee waiver in the amount, again, of $300 for the utilization of Fury Road Fieldhouse for retro basketball.
Can I
Yes.
ask that we table these items due to
The other two?
what we're going to go over under new business?
Yes.
That would affect that.
Correct, all right, so scratch the last two items. For the, which would be basketball, request for waivers for here at the field house. And then Linwood Heights redevelopment, George, you have any updates on that?
Barbara and Brian Seville are still working out the final details of the plan, working on getting to a very actionable, attainable plan, which will eventually come in front of this board for adoption.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Any questions for Commissioner Whitaker? Let's move on to Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you. Short and sweet tonight. As everybody knows, the medics are very busy. Just want to put it out there. The EMS and the fire situation with the fires going around. Keep those guys in your prayers because they're out there. And they're out there every night. So I will say the emergency management team has been, they just met this past Monday. Our manager has everything we need to do underneath the new business tonight. I do know the emergency management group has already talked to the CDC and keeps George well aware of everything. If there's anything major, it will hit to us. We're just doing a game plan. It's up to us up here to fix it or try to get the game plan in play, but I will commend the emergency management team because they have been on top of it, informing George, myself, just about everything that's on TV is what we know. So I think our next step is we have to try to get better, or not better, but to get it out to the public. There's a lot of what ifs. And once we have the what ifs answered, we'll let the public know too. For the DCED study, I'm happy to say I'm meeting with the fire department on the 26th to get out their copies. The Board of Commissioners should have, there's hard copies, so George made 3 hard copies. I sent the email to everybody for the Board of Commissioners. Like I said last week, it's probably going to be a 6-month process. It's been hitting the newspaper a lot. Aston Township, there was another fire department, just built a fire company. Aston's got their own proposal. And we also lose a fire department in the county too, with membership. So try to read it. I know it's long. It's somewhat boring. There's a lot of graphs in it, a lot of information for the township, for the graphs, but a lot of good information. And once they get it, we'll meet. We haven't decided yet on how we want to do it. The board could let me know, George know. I would like to try to have the Board of Commissioners meet with DCED, but being what's going on with the crisis in the country here, I don't know if they're going to be available. I would like to try to meet with them for Q&A, also and a possibility with the committee before we actually go out to the fire department. I would like to try to get to the fire department out there and Q&A and anything with the study in the fall or late fall, especially before the holidays, so everybody will be too busy for that. So that's the timeline, but all we can do is wait until everybody leaves 207 pages. Anything else to get brought to my attention? I have nothing else. Your meeting, Michael, you can do it on a Friday because I know you're off with the Chiefs. I'll try to get hold of them and see what time's available for them to go over the fire marshal ordinance. We're all available to meet. We'll hash it out in the room, figure it out what's going on with it. You let me know what Friday you want. And that's what I'll show.
All right, let me look at my calendar tomorrow.
And the other, we already addressed the comes back.
Any questions for Commissioner Burkowski? Not, we'll move on to Commissioner Jonier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. The financial reports are available at the office. I want to move payment of the exoneration list 20-3, but we need to amend it. Anyone that is getting a refund or exoneration for 2019 is only going to receive $196. The fee was $200 last year, and they all paid in the discount, so they would only get $196. I don't know where the 206.20 number is coming from. So there are 4 people on that would get 196, and the other people would get the 186.20, which is correct. So I'd like to move payment as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
I'd like to move payment of the list of bills in the amount of $782,417.02.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
There are a number of specific payments in there. The preliminary pension payments are in there as well. So that's what's driving the list of bills, which, monthly we're getting by at the bottom, hopefully, or hopefully at the bottom soon. Under the police report, the police reports are available at the office if anyone wants to review them. And also in the packet, there is a list of the dates for the civil service test, the advertising dates, and the dates that the test will be run. And that is all I have.
Any questions for Commissioner Neary? If not, we'll wrap up with my report. License and inspections, the reports are in our folders. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Planning, we went over all those tonight, so we don't review that topic at this point in time. Zoning, we have one pending application. It's from a Linda Burrell. She's asking for a variance for a rear yard setback. So that's going to be up next month. I'll let you know what the outcome is of that at our next meeting, if we have one. And then any other items that need to be discussed, I'd be more than happy to talk about them. We covered everything else on my topics, either under the engineer report or the manager report, so line short and sweet tonight. Okay, so if there's no questions for me, I'd like to bring up new business, if I may, George. So I had a discussion with the township manager tonight, and I sent a message out to the board about the coronavirus. I talked to emergency management coordinator also, and we're going to come up with a preliminary level 1 precaution within the township. It's going to limit the use of our township building. And we're going to hand this over to my manager, and he will discuss it in further detail.
Good evening. So actually, while we were in the meeting, it was reported that the Delaware County Emergency Services are recommending that all municipalities do a declaration of disaster emergency. So, declaration of disaster emergency, I'm going to read the declaration here tonight and do a little explanation. So I'd ask the board to consider a motion to accept the declaration of disaster emergency, whereas on or about March 12, 2020, the disaster has caused or threatens to cause injury, damage, and suffering to the persons and property of Upper Chichester Township, and whereas the disaster of COVID-19 has endangered the health, safety, and welfare of a substantial number of persons residing in Upper Chichester Township and threatens to create problems greater in scope that the township may be able to resolve, and whereas emergency management measures are required to reduce the severity of this disaster to protect the health, safety, and welfare of affected residents of the township. Now therefore, we, the undersigned Board of Commissioners of Upper Chichester Township, pursuant to the provisions of Section 7501 of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code, 35 PA, CS Section 7501, as amended, do hereby declare the existence of a disaster emergency in Upper Chichester Township. Further, we direct the Township Emergency Management Coordinator the activities of the emergency response to take all appropriate action needed to alleviate the efforts of this disaster, to aid in the restoration of all essential public services, and to take any other emergency response action deemed necessary to respond to this emergency. Still further, we authorize township officials to act as necessary to meet the current exigencies of the emergency, namely by the employment of temporary workers, by the rental of equipment, by the purchase of supplies and materials, and by entering into such contracts and agreements for the performance of public work as may be required to meet the emergency, all without regard to those time-consuming procedures and formalities normally prescribed by the law, mandatory constitutional requirements, etc.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
So I know the language is very strong in there, and obviously that you know, at this point, there has been no reported cases of COVID-19 in Upper Chichester Township. However, by doing this, if there is potential of something that happens, we could possibly get reimbursed by FEMA for FEMA for expenses that we have, and it also allows us to be very proactive and quick in our reactions, as opposed to sometimes, as you see tonight, where we have to wait a month until we can take an action. What I'm suggesting to the board is at this point we enter into what I'm calling a level 1 response. The level 1 response, the way it would affect employees, or restrict all non-employees from work areas, cease all handshaking immediately, recommend practicing good hygiene habits, canceling all attendance at non-essential meetings, continue to encourage the ongoing use of cleaning products in the work areas, encourage all employees who are sick or have a member in their household who is sick to utilize the township's sick time policy and stay home, allow all employees who are infected by COVID-19 who are under a mandatory quarantine to take time off with pay, limit group interactions of employees whenever possible. Commissioner Rakowski had mentioned with the EMS and the fire, this is very important that we're not sending these people into group situations and that we're monitoring that. It's also very important with our sanitation workers and with our police department. God forbid we run into a situation where mass quantities of our employees are quarantined at one time, it would affect responses, so that's something we're going to work on. For meetings in public spaces, cancel any non-essential meetings until April 1st, 2020. Cancel all open gym sessions until April 1st, 2020. Restrict any public use of the community service building and Fury Road building until April 1st, 2020. And recommend the governor's guidance to limit activities in the township to under 250 people. That would include CDL's opening day, restricting events like that. And at this time, the expected effect on township services is only recreation and building services are affected at this time. Everything else will be business as usual. We will monitor the situation and we will adapt depending on how we go.
So do you need a motion for that, to adopt that level 1 response, or can we just
Wouldn't hurt.
implement it?
It wouldn't hurt.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion is carried.
And just so everyone knows that a lot of the municipalities are actually doing the same thing tonight and have done this last night. It's a precautionary method to make sure that we have things in place just in case. Thank you.
But I just got a question. Go ahead, Paul. You go first.
Are you, what are we doing with the gym?
So the gym will be closed effective tomorrow.
Okay, so are we
Yes, so we've already been communicating with the cleaning services about further disinfecting. They've been stepping up the cleaning as is, and we're meeting with them to discuss a further deep clean. I'm very hesitant with the utilization of the gym is a lot of what would be considered like the vulnerable population of this, and I'd just be very hesitant to keep that at this point.
What about Easter?
So at this time, I'm only recommending until April 1st as we proceed forward, but my anticipation of all the information that I'm receiving is that at that time, there will be no recommendation for us to have a large scale event with people in close gathering, touching items, and so my assumption would be that we're going to have to cancel that event.
So Easter, we were going to partner with the Wesleyan Church, that we usually do, and that date was Saturday, April 12th. Okay.
That's Easter. It was April 11th, I'm sorry.
It's a Saturday before Easter.
What? I'm sorry.
I have a text from Brett Hankins, President of CBL. Being they are township fields, he wants to know if we have any recommendations what to do with them fields. You answered some of it, you know, and the precautions we're taking. But some of them teams we just voted on are travel teams, where teams, kids from outside of this area could be coming in. How does he handle that? I mean, he's looking for guidance.
Well, I think over the next 2 weeks, we have to be cautious about the situation. So, I mean, the good thing is we approved it, so if after 2 weeks, everything is good, they get to play.
How about I tell them, stay in contact with George, and he'll be advised.
I mean, so it would be really hard to restrict people from going to the public field and using it because we can, but I would say that from the permit perspective, we should make their permits not effective until after April 1st.
So keep them off the field till after April 1st.
So I would advise to not have any practices, but again, if he takes a group of kids over there to use the field, I can.
That could already be taken care of, because the reason he's not here, he had an 8 o'clock meeting with Cal Ripken Baseball, so that could be getting shut down statewide. So he just asked me to ask these questions. I'll have him stay in touch with you.
Yeah, I can reach out to him first thing in the morning.
All right.
Anything else, George?
I guess girls softball too, we should contact?
I would contact all our leagues.
We're going to contact anybody that has either a permit, has applied for a permit, or has rented a building and notify them. We will be issuing refunds to people who paid for it.
Good. So, I've been tracking the virus number-wise, and this is not a statement from the entire board. This is just me just looking at numbers. So I know there's approximately 134,500 cases worldwide. There's about 73,900 cases that had an outcome from the virus. 93%, or roughly 68,900, have recovered or been discharged from the hospital, and there's more than 5,000 deaths. And the average age that it's been affecting have been people, our senior citizens. Around 80 is the average age. So these are just numbers that I've been tracking. It's not an official statement from every board, from every commissioner here. I do think that we should be cautious, that we should implement this level 1. I thank the board for supporting it. And just everybody just needs to be careful, and we will keep the public as updated as much as possible. So thank you. So a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.